Hello, 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 friends. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today. This is Hump Day, middle of the week, and we're looking forward to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday coming up. My name's Kathy, Aunt Kathy to some, and I'm just so glad you've joined us on Vintage Explorer. We've got a great show ahead today. I wanted to just mention a couple things. One is the date. I'm sorry I forgot to write it down, but coming up the end of October is a very special conference, the Freedom from Religion in San Antonio, Texas. I'm pushing that because my grandson's going to be one of the speakers, and anybody that can be out there and say hi to Ethan, I would love it, and to get some feedback from you. I'd like to give a couple plugs for myself. October 3rd at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be on with my nephew Oz on What's Your Story? And yeah, that'll be a good emotional maybe, but it'll be a good time together. And y'all get to learn even more about this crazy woman. And then on October 4th, at 8 p.m. 7 Central, I'm going to be on with Godless Granny, and we're going to talk about what it's like to be in the, see, what are we? We're not Gen Xers anymore. We're boomers. What it's like to be a boomer atheist. So that should be a fun show. I'm just looking forward to spending some time with Kelly. We were together at Better and just had some good chats. So today's show, I am very honored to have Shane Bilowitz with us. Hello, Shane.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm so pleased to have you here. Could you hear the intro music?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so what era was that?
Oh,
before you were born.
70s-ish, I guess.
Yes, 70s music. I love the 70s music. Of course, that's what I grew up on.
I mean, I'm a really big Pink Floyd fan.
Oh yeah.
Led Zeppelin too, of course. Queen.
Oh sure.
Yeah, a lot of great bands. Rolling Stones, Aerosmith.
The Stones. Yeah, I loved Chicago.
Chicago, yeah.
Grand Funk Railroad. They were a little bit later, I think, but not too much later.
Mm-hmm.
I had
Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh yes, can't forget them.
Yeah.
I mean, they were precursors of all that we've got going today, except you could understand the words better back then.
Yeah.
So, we're here today to learn a little bit more about you, but not from a religious, non-religious perspective. But I want our viewers to just get to know Shane the guy, Shane the man, Shane the hobbyist, Shane the... What does the person Shane do when he's bummed out on a day? Right. I mean, just get to know you a little bit more. I think one of the things I came away from the Better Conference is was to build better relationships, and that means getting to know one another. And since we can't be together to go get a cup of coffee together, this is the best format that we have. And you happen to have a hobby that, though I have no musical abilities, my ears love to listen to music. So we're going to just set out with just a few simple questions, and then we'll just go wherever the waves take us. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Tell me, where was Shane raised? Where were you born and raised? What?
So I was born and raised in La Cañada, California, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. It's like in between Pasadena and Glendale. I lived there for the first 20 years of my life or so. Then I moved down to Irvine for a few years, and now I currently live in the Bay Area.
So you've just been a West Coaster your whole life.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Have you visited us on the other side of the river?
Yeah, actually, I'm moving to Michigan. My whole family, we're moving to Michigan in January.
Oh, that's
so we're
going to be
neighbors. I'm going to be in outside the Detroit area.
Okay. That's not
Just
too
a
awful
couple
far.
hours away from,
Yeah.
like 3 hours from Fort Wayne or something.
Something like that. Three and a half, depending on what part of Detroit area you're
Well, you're
going
to have to come to my housewarming party.
Oh, hey, that'd be awesome. That's going to be a big change for you if you're not used to cold and snow and.
Well, I've been wanting to move out of state for a while. I mean, California's just so expensive.
True, I've heard that.
So, I mean, our little tiny house, we could sell it and get so much more, a house with land and
Absolutely.
yard and everything. And just...
Definitely. I
Yep.
know I have a stepson who lived for a time in Seattle, and when he came back to visit and saw my younger daughter's home and told us how much that would be worth out there, where here it was like $179,000, which is a pretty decent little house here. And he said, "Oh, easy, 500 or more out there."
Yeah, definitely.
But of course, your cost of eggs and butter and utilities and everything is so different. I think you'll find that the Midwest is going to be a little bit easier on the pocketbook.
That's the hope, yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's going to be quite an adventure. You're moving in the wintertime too?
Yeah.
Okay, I've done that once or twice myself. That is an adventure.
Yeah.
So you grew up on the West Coast. Did you ever do any surfing? Gotta ask a West Coaster.
I guess I was never good enough. I tried a few times and I could never really get up. But I did a lot of boogie boarding.
Okay.
And body surfing. So, I go to the
fun.
beach a lot. But surfing, like with actual surfboards, was not something that my friends and I were really into. We did snowboarding a lot, actually.
Oh, well, I didn't think about that, but you were probably in the best area of best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Southern California is, you're now an hour away from the beach and you're an hour away from the mountains. So, like, theoretically, in the same day, you could wake up really early, go surfing, and then go snowboarding in the afternoon.
So, growing up, did you go to a public school or private school?
Yeah, public school. Yeah. My mom was actually a teacher at the elementary school I went to. And then my dad was a soccer coach at the high school I went to.
Oh, gosh. Well, you couldn't get away from them, or you couldn't get away with anything, could you?
Right, yeah. No, it had its pros and cons. Like, there were some perks to having, a parent that was part of the staff or something. So.
So from, let's see, I don't want to run ahead too much. Elementary, how did they have it out there? Elementary, middle school, high school?
So I did junior high, not middle school.
Junior high, okay.
7th and 8th grade. So elementary was 1st through 6th, and then junior high was 7th and 8th, and then high school was 9th through 12th. I think now they do it, elementary is kindergarten through 5th, and then middle school is 6, 7, 8. and then they have junior high. I mean, not junior high, high school.
Yeah, that's how we do it around here in my part of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 grandsons who started their first year in high school this year, and
Oh wow.
the youngest one started his first year in middle school this year.
Oh cool.
And my oldest one is in college. I think it's his 3rd year. So I've got 3 grandsons spread out in age. But anyway, this isn't about me, it's about you. While you were in school, did
Mhm.
you take music classes?
Actually, all the music I did was like extracurricular.
Oh.
I wasn't in bands. I wasn't in choir. So all the I took private guitar lessons, and I started when I was about 12, and I did that all throughout high school, for and then even afterwards, probably took about 8 years of private lessons and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I got, I'm getting ahead of stuff. Sorry, we'll get to college later. But yeah, I had a lot of friends that were in band and that were in choir and things like that. But I never wanted to get up early enough because choir was before school, so I never wanted to do that. And band, I don't know. I just didn't want to join band. I guess maybe I thought band was geeky, but I was a total geek anyway, so I would have
Just
fit right in.
a different kind of geek, maybe.
Yeah.
Before age 12, did you have to do the obligatory family take piano lessons kind of
yeah.
thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So that was sort of mom or dad said, let's do this, son, and you
Mm-hmm.
had to.
Yeah, when I was about 9 or so, we did
Uh-huh.
piano lessons, and I never liked to practice. So eventually, my parents were just like, "You're not practicing. We're not gonna keep paying for piano lessons if you're not
Mhm.
practicing." So, I could read music a little bit and do some things here and there, but I didn't really get serious until I started playing guitar.
Okay. Do you feel like what little bit you did learn with piano helped you with
Yeah.
guitar? Well,
Yeah, it did. Cause, did I freeze?
you're frozen,
Uh-oh.
and you're still in California.
Let's see. Should I? Here, I'll leave the studio and come back in.
Wes, what's your suggestion here? Because I
Yeah, go ahead and leave and pop right back in.
Okay.
Okay, technical difficulties. Seems like a lot of that's happening lately. Let's see. He's going to be moving to Michigan. That's quite a difference from California. My Michigan experience, they have great apples, beautiful tulips in different parts of that state, and cold weather, especially if he's up around Detroit. The snow, I'm not trying to discourage you, Shane. I just want you to be totally prepared. Get your catalogs out and buy your winter clothes before you get here, because you will need them. It'll be a big change. I'm going to have him play some music for us later, so don't go away, even though we're having a few difficulties, and I don't ad lib real well, so oh, by the way, don't you love my piano here, my grand piano? It's so hard to get it up the stairway into the apartment building, but I could play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and that's about it. Maybe
Hi,
we're back.
I
Yes.
can't get my camera to work.
Oh, bummer. Well, shoot, we had difficulties beforehand.
Let's see, maybe if I just unplug it and plug it back in.
Hey, that's always a place to start. Oh, thank you, Jacob. Jason Jacoby. You know that's a backdrop. I've got to confess, that's not really my piano. But I love this. I would love to live in a house that has this background.
Yeah, that's a nice piano.
Yeah, it probably has good music that can come out of it, but not from my fingers. My baby sister, who is Oz's mom, I think she took 6 to 8 weeks of formal lessons, and then she was just gifted. I mean, it just made me sick with envy of how she could play so well, and it was just her thing. So I had a brother who played drums, and my other sister played guitar, and I played the radio, or I'm a mean sewing machine. That was it. Jason says my lighting is perfect. You know what, Jason? I have to give a big thank you to Murder Shed Steve for teaching me about lighting and different tips I could do from my home, because it's made a huge difference, and I'm glad you can see it. So yay, we've got Shane back. All right.
Yay.
Well, whatever you did, it worked.
Sorry about that.
That's quite all right. We have to go with the flow, like we said earlier, and sometimes
Right.
that flow means disruption.
Improvise. That's what they teach
Yes.
in jazz.
All right. Oh, well, that must be why I like jazz so much. love jazz.
Yeah.
See, where were we? We gotten you to school. We had piano lessons, and then at age 12, how
Right.
did you like get a guitar as a gift, or?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, my
Tell
parents.
us about that.
Well, they didn't really know what to get me for Christmas, so they went down to the local swap meet at the Rose Bowl, and they bought a guitar for $100, and they're like, "Hey, you know, it's an old acoustic guitar. I don't have it here with me, but I still have it
Oh, good.
in my closet." And they were just like, you know, we're gonna try this. We'll start lessons. We're 6 months of lessons, and if you like it, we can keep going, and if not, then you know we're not gonna keep doing lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And something I really started getting into. You know, I started. Once you start to be able to play a couple of songs that you can recognize, you know, songs you heard on the radio, then it really kind of motivated me to. I was like, oh, I can play this Green Day song, or I can play this Nirvana song, you know. And now, you know, I just kept wanting to learn more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you know, I thought it was pretty cool. I don't know, you know, like being a rock star.
Oh, sure. Well,
Yeah.
teenage boy guitar. Yes.
Oh yeah, I had
rock
long
star.
hair when I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
You fit the bill.
Uh-huh.
Oh. So you were playing basically by ear then, right?
Well, no, I was taking lessons, so I was learning how to read music, and I was
Okay.
learning theory and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it was by ear, just like listening to songs and then, you know, figuring out how to play them myself, and just. I remember having a little CD player, and I just press pause, you know, and try to figure, like, no, was it this note? No, was that note? And then I'd rewind like 2 seconds, and then press pause again, you know. You're trying to figure out, like, if I'm listening to a Metallica solo or something, I'd be like, how did he do this part? How did he do this? You know.
Oh, that's neat. That's the
Yeah.
best way to learn.
Right. Well, of course, now you can just look it all up on the internet. They'll show you. They'll have YouTube videos explaining how to do it all, and then they'll show you all the different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, you had to just kind of pick it up yourself and listen.
Pause, stop, rewind. Yes.
Well, sometimes they had guitar magazines that would like. Sometimes they'd have song transcriptions. They'd write out some songs for popular bands or things like that, but they would always be wrong, and you'd always have to correct them and listen to the thing anyway and do it yourself. So you might as well just do it all from scratch.
So were you soon writing your own stuff?
Yeah. I started writing just little simple songs here and there. I had a friend who also started playing guitar right around the same time, and we were always kind of in bands together. And we would write a bunch of like, I guess we were metalheads, so we'd kind of write a bunch of metal songs and things like that, and then record them at his house on his computer, and we made little like demos and things. Yeah.
So you were what we used to call it, garage boy bands.
A garage band, yeah.
Garage band, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting. I bet the girls loved it. Or were you into girls at the time?
Yeah.
Well,
I was pretty religious at the time too, so.
Okay.
I was very chaste.
Okay. Well, since we don't go into real depth about the religion part on purpose on this show, because we're, my desire is to get to know the person. But for how many years were you, and what was your flavor of religion, so to speak?
Presbyterian.
Okay.
That was the main church in the town that most people went to, was Presbyterian church. I was really into it for a while. In junior high and high school, I went to all the like youth camps and church retreats and things like that. I played guitar in the church band.
That was my next question. Did they have a youth oriented like a worship band? Did you do that too?
Yep. Yeah. Every Sunday
Okay.
I was up there. Yeah.
Wow. So
yeah, we were, playing all those David Crowder songs and whatever else.
Yeah. And how many years were you in your religion?
Well, I mean, I was always raised in it, but I wasn't really serious until about junior high. So I would say for about 6 or 7 years. And then when I was probably 19 or 20 is when I kind of started deconstructing.
Okay. That would be about college age, right?
Mm-hmm.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you move away and you meet other people and you're like, wait,
Right.
life is different than what I
Right. And you're not under that thumb of indoctrination that you are at home, especially if your family is religious. So let's skip up to college. What did you decide? What made you decide to go to college and to pick the field that you chose, which I believe was music also, right?
Yeah. So my college experience took a little bit longer than most people, I guess. I went to junior college right after high school, and I basically was just taking like 2 or 3 classes a semester, just kind of floundering around. I was in a rock band, and everyone else in my band, they went to UC Irvine, and I was living with them, but I was going to a junior college and just, trying to make it in the rock business, whatever. And then a couple years later, that kind of fizzled out, and I moved up north to live in with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, who is going to be my ex-wife soon. Anyway, so we moved in up there, and then I transferred to UC Berkeley and finished my degree there, and I got a degree in music from UC Berkeley.
Okay. how does music affect your life on, say, it's a day that you're just struggling with life?
Well-
What's your first go-to if you're having a rough day? Is it to pick up a guitar, or is it to do something different? So it's like it soothes the savage beast within, as we've heard.
Well, there was a George Benson quote, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but he says, every day I wake up, music is part of my life. So, whenever I wake up, I expect it. There's going to be music. It's going to be a part of every day that I, am alive. And I always have music playing when I'm doing things, just in the background. But if I'm feeling upset or I have some emotions that I need to get out or something like that, I'll just grab a guitar and just noodle around even. If I'm just, I studied jazz a lot in college, so if I just like improvise over a couple of chord changes or something, it just really clears my head, because I'm just so into the music. It's like a meditation, when you're hyper focused on one thing, everything else kind of fades away, and your mind just becomes that one thing you're focusing on. So when I'm not thinking about any of the troubles or what went on in your day. I'm just thinking of like B minor 7 flat 5 going up to E dominant and that sort of thing, or just which notes I'm playing and that sort of stuff.
So it's a beautiful thing that music can express every emotion. I mean, if you're angry, oh buddy, can you rail it?
Oh yeah, well
yeah. Give us an angry bit.
Okay, so angry, but like you can. There's a really. But the cool thing about just different note choices is you can have something that sounds really sweet, or if you wanted to have something sound kind of like hokey and like it's kind of like happy and or if you wanted to have express something that's kind of like longing, like there's just so many different ways to express yourself.
How about mystery? A sense of mystery.
Mystery, I don't know. I kind of think of like James Bond. No, that doesn't really sound like mystery. I don't know. You're putting me on the spot.
Tis a mystery what mystery sounds like. I can't help you there.
Sorry.
I'll pick up my radio on that one. Okay. So let's say you come in from, I don't know, let me ask you first, what is your field of occupation? Is it music?
Actually, no. So I sell car parts, and on the weekends I work as a waiter.
Okay.
So, I did try to have make music my full-time thing, but it just was, my son was just born, and I needed a more steady job with a regular income and everything, so.
Sure. Do you ever teach guitar? Have you ever?
I haven't in a while. I used to, and I still every now and then play jazz gigs, on the weekends, sometimes at restaurants or things like that. I find actually I get more work as a bassist than a guitar player, because everybody here, especially in the San Francisco area, everybody plays guitar and they're all really good. But usually if someone's a really good bassist, they want to switch to guitar and be a guitar player. So I find I'm always getting work as a bassist.
That's interesting that the two friends that I have here that are musicians are bassists, and one travels all over, and the other one does the church circuit. When they need a bassist, he's always the one that's playing for them. So that's interesting.
Oh, here's a mystery chord.
That's more mystery than, yep. It definitely, I hear mystery more. When I think of a mystery on TV, I don't think of it with a guitar. I don't think of the music being other than maybe a piano or a violin, a stringed instrument that's like, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Never mind.
Well, the James Bond chord is the minor major 7, like.
Yeah.
So it sounds a lot like an augmented chord.
So when you talking about the different chords, one thing I do remember in the church realm was the differences in the chords as far as the music that started the service versus the music that ended the service.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Can you address that a little bit, and not just in a service, but concert? I used to be a big concert goer when I was younger. I mean, I got to see the Who and the Stones and the
right.
I didn't get to see the Beatles, but I saw a lot of bands in person, and the beginning of the show versus the end of the show, and how some music sucks you in and other music doesn't. And can you speak to that?
Yeah, of course. So usually when you start, you wanna have a kind of like a higher energy, like a welcoming sort of thing, like an upbeat. Like you have a lot of church songs that are like. Yeah. So a lot of major chords, a lot of open chords that like G, C, D, that sort of thing. To get everybody up on their feet and clapping and participating and so usually they do a couple of songs in that sort of vein, and then you start to get into more of the seriousness of the I guess the lecture, or if it's not a church service, if you just the concert, you get into the more serious songs, and those are the more minor chords. A lot of times those are the longer songs that have more of a build, where they start out very kind of slowly and then they progressively get bigger and more exciting, more involved, more orchestration, that sort of thing. And those are really meant to like pull at your heartstrings and really to kind of get you to feel some sort of way about the message they're trying to say, or even if it's a rock song, usually there's some sort of political message or something they're trying to say. Right. And after they kind of hit you really hard with all the emotions and you're feeling like, oh, this is just so heartbreaking, then they come in with a really nice major song again that's very happy and very uplifting. So you feel like you kind of went through this torment, and then at the end of the road there's a way out, and you want to end with a really big, strong finish, one that is very positive, and one that has sort of uplifting, I guess, sort of feel, which would be back to the major things, but it's not so much like hokey. It's more like that's sort of like I don't know if you know the song like Light the Fire or
Oh yeah.
Open the Eyes of My Heart.
Open the Eyes of My Heart. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I want to ask a question that Aunt Jer asked is why do so many modern church songs sound like what you would play in a church service taking place in a refurbished barn and everyone's wearing boots?
Oh. Yeah, it's all I don't know, they're all cowboy chords is what I call them. They're just like
okay.
these.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, they're all, and it's very easy to get people to sing along when you have a rhythm where you're like, you know, clapping, stomping and clapping your feet.
Mm-hmm.
What's that one? Blessed be the God, O Lord of Israel, from everlasting to everlasting. I don't know, was that was a big one in my church. But there's a lot of audience participation and that sort of thing, and these are the goal is these are really easy chords to learn. Like when you first pick up the guitar, the first few chords you learn are G, C, D, E minor, you know, maybe A minor, these sort of things. So they want people to be able to play. They're not going to put like an A flat major or like a, you know, B flat minor, you know, they're not going to put it in weird keys and have these strange chords because people won't be able to play it. You want to just be able to pick it up, you know, someone who's been playing for 6 months and can strum a single pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is that shares a lot with country music, I guess.
Yeah. Now that you mention that, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to a question I started to ask you, then I got sidetracked.
Oh, sure.
If you come in and you've had a really rotten day, pick up your guitar and play. Play as something that you would play for yourself if you'd had a really rotten day. Okay, so what happened inside of you when you played that? From a rotten day to this?
Just getting that emotion out. I stopped thinking about things, I guess, that are really bothering me. I'm thinking of the chord changes of the C sharp minor to the F sharp minor and the G sharp dominant. I'm thinking it gets to a point where you don't really, you kind of stop thinking and you just sort of feel.
That's what I was looking for, is you stop thinking and you just start feeling.
You just
Yeah.
you you just I don't know how to explain it.
No.
It's
I've
kind
seen
of
it
like,
happen. I've seen it happen as I've watched musicians, and just to see them come in with a certain look or aura about them, and then they'll pick up their instrument and play for a little bit, and then you look at them and it's like they've
Yeah.
changed. And I think
mean,
that's so cool.
I'm a little bit, on camera, so I'm a little nervous with,
Hey,
doing that. But like, especially when I'm by myself and just alone, I just sometimes, 20 minutes will go by and I'm just like not even, I haven't even noticed. And you just, it's kind of like talking in a way. Or just yelling or letting it out. Like sometimes you just need to scream, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't know, I scream with my fingers.
Well, hey, but it's getting it out of you. Whatever method. My gift, if you want to say it, is with the sewing machine. Okay? And so I can get in a zone and I lose everybody around me. And I'm just busy making what I'm making, and it's like putting puzzles together, and you can tell if I'm upset because I sew faster,
Right.
and if I'm calmer, I sew steadier and slower. So it's just interesting to me how we're made up as humans, that we always find a way, or hopefully find a way of expressing what's inside of us. And when we don't do that is when we have real problems, or we express it in the wrong way and wind up getting in trouble. So it's just always been amazing to me that you can pick up a guitar and you can scream, or you can have gentleness, you can have romance, you can have just so much with picking up and using that instrument. So your favorite genre is blues?
Right now, I guess maybe my favorite genre to play is probably jazz.
Okay.
And I guess blues is part of that too. I'm really into progressive rock. I guess a lot of the stuff I really like to listen to is, going back to the 70s, is like Pink Floyd and Yes and Rush, and there are some newer bands that are. There's a band called Dream Theater that I was really into in high school, and there's some other, like, I always have a soft spot for the 90s grunge music, like Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that I was learning to play when I was growing up. But I guess jazz would be my favorite thing to play, just because it's so improvisational and you can just kind of write your own thing. You don't have to, they just give you a little structure of a couple of different chord changes and you just kind of improvise, rather than playing something that somebody else wrote and they're like, no, not that note, I wrote this note for you. It's a bit more freeing.
Why don't you take a few minutes and just improvise for us in a jazzy way?
Okay.
Okay? Go for it. Whatever you feel. That was awesome.
Oh,
I
thanks.
loved it. Loved it. So let's go into a different genre
Mm-hmm.
and pick something out of the 70s. Oh, yes.
I don't know. Are we gonna get the TOS, flagged for copyright? Here?
Oh, didn't even think about that. No, I guess not. Well,
Hey, that wasn't Stairway. That was
no, it wasn't
they're
Stairway.
in the chat. They're like,
Well, we're going to have to play the sound of the 70s without the, yeah.
oh, let's see, 70s. Well, but 70s is a lot of like blues, like how was that?
Oh, yes. Yes. All right. Now,
Sorry.
so we don't get kicked off, why don't you play something that you have written?
Okay. Let's see.
And if it has a title, tell us what it is.
Okay. Well, this is a song that my band and I used to do. It's called Surrogate. I don't know, this would be kind of hard to play the whole thing without a bit. Wow.
Well, you've given us a flavor of it anyway.
Okay,
That's okay.
I'm drawing a
Hey,
blank here.
let's go into the different guitars that you have surrounding you in your room. I know before, when we were backstage, you had pulled out a Fretless.
Yeah,
Can you bring out that Fretless and show us that?
sure. All right, so
That's pretty. It's a pretty looking guitar.
thanks.
What's the biggest challenge in the difference between playing a fretless and a fretted guitar?
The intonation, like you can be just a little bit off, and it sounds really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very precise, and this fretless is different because a lot of fretless guitars and basses will have lines here, but this doesn't. So it's a lot more like a cello or a violin neck, where you just kind of have to do it by feel and by memory. So the other thing that's really different is chords. Chords are a lot harder to be in tune because you have to be very precise and they don't really work. Like it's like maybe 2 or 3 chord or 2 or 3 strings, but if you do like a it gets kind of, I don't know. It's more for leads and more for soloing and improvising, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Have you heard of a group called Synthonity?
No.
Oh, you'd love it. It's a group of, I think it's 15 guys who play classical music and even the opera type music, all on electric guitars. And there's usually one cello, but everything else is electric guitars. And they look like a bunch of beat up old hippies, but they get into this music. It is extraordinary.
That sounds awesome.
They have a YouTube channel, Synfonity, Synthonity. And I just happened to stumble on them one day, and I absolutely, to hear the Barber of Seville played on electric guitars was just like, what is this? It was crazy. So, yeah, you have to check them out. I think you'd really, get a kick out of them anyway. The
Cool.
guitars that are behind you, I'm sorry, were you going to do something with the one you've got?
No.
Okay. The guitars that are behind you, I noticed you have a bass.
Uh-huh. This is a 6-string bass.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Well, here, let me get my cord so I can plug it in here. I usually, when I play bass, I usually do a lot of jazz, so it's a lot of like
Yeah.
a lot of
Cool.
walking, But the cool thing about 6-string bass is it has really high range too, so you can.
Man, I never realized the importance of the bass and the drums working together until I was involved. Well, my sister was a worship leader, and her husband is still a drummer. Awesome drummer. And then, the good friend of mine who's a bass, they were all together in the same worship team. And to watch the drummer and the bassist communicating with each other, it was just, there's so much more to music than you think about. There's so much more to a band than just playing music together. How you feed off each other and read off each other and stuff is just incredible.
Yeah, when you're playing as a bass player, you really need to be tuned into the drums. Notice what the drummer's doing with the kick and the hi-hat and the snare, so you kind of match up you need to be really locked in together, and a lot of times if I've been in bands where I've played bass, sometimes it's just the drummer and I will just sit together and practice and just the two of us just make sure we're kind of locking in the same groove without anyone else before we kind of do everything, so that way we have a nice backbone of the song.
Yeah, I'd like to sit in on those. I'd love to hear the bass and the drums together. So I'd love to sit in on rehearsals. And would you like to do one more song for us before we head out?
Sure.
We've got just a few minutes, and you just pick whatever guitar and whatever genre you want, and just melodiously exit.
Okay.
Beautiful. Oh, it's been such an honor
Oh, thanks.
to have you share your talent with us and to help us understand what it does for you and how it can be a tool in mental health. And even though we didn't say those words specifically, that's exactly what it does.
Oh, definitely.
And I just wish you the best, Shane. I know you've got a lot of transition coming up.
Oh, thanks.
But just take it a day at a time, and buddy, pick up those guitars whenever you need it, and get yourself
Thanks.
from one mood to the next.
Yeah.
Okay? And I look forward to trying to get to a housewarming party.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
All
definitely.
right.
Everybody's invited.
Okay. Oh boy, look out!
Yeah.
we'll just have better at Shane Bilowitz's new
Right.
place.
Yeah.
All right.
We're moving better to Michigan.
Michigan, Detroit, here they come. Better hang on to your hats. The Bilowitz crew is on the way.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Shane. I appreciate
Well, thank
it.
you. Thank you,
Uh-huh.
Kathy. It was really fun.
It was fun for us too. Well, how about that? See, you never know what kind of show you're going to have when you tune into Vintage Explorer. I love music, and I just love it. I want to thank you all for joining us today and experiencing this together. And I want you to know that whatever gift, ability, or talent that you have, that is something that you can use to help when you're having mental health moments. If it's to pick up a guitar, sit down at a keyboard, get a pencil and a piece of paper and draw, or like me, I can sit at my sewing machine and just let the rhythm work in your soul and get from frustration to calmness. It can happen no matter what. I want to thank you again for tuning in. And just give you a reminder that October the 3rd at 9 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock is I'm going to be joining Oz and sharing my story on What's Your Story. And then the next night, on October the 4th, I'm going to be with Godless Granny. And we're going to be talking about what it's like for us boomers to be atheist. And that should be an interesting and a fun show. So I want to give my thanks to producer Wes, who's been filling in for us, and to Oz and Jenna. I want to remind you to always be kind and remember to keep exploring. Bye-bye.